What's happening? It's Gucci. It's me, Sprax again. Time for another card talk. You know, the show that's not a show, but it makes for a great intro. I just love throwing that out of there. But we're gonna start this with a question, right? You don't have to answer it in the comments or anything. I wanted you to answer it yourself, and you'll see where I'm going with it, because this is kind of like what my philosophy on life and things is. But if you were to die today, like if you were to draw your last breath, how would you feel about that? As you're sitting there on your deathbed, it's all coming to an end. Would you have regrets? Would you feel content? Would you have what messages you want to pass on? Like how would you feel? Would you feel accomplished? Right? And I say all that to say because all this is made up. Everything. All the stuff we do is made up. And I don't really stress much or anything because of it. And we're going to get into that. But first, start with the lead in, right? I was with my mom the other day. We're not really beefing anymore. Something happened. And my mom's sister basically don't owe me anymore, right? Wipe the slate clean. But I'm still just doing my own thing, living my own life, just exploring this world and, winging it as a way. And it's relevant because my mom asks, she's like, what do you do? She's like my friends, they ask about you and whatnot. And I say he's a photographer and videographer. I know what you do, but I don't know what you do. And personally, I found that funny because I get that question a lot. Friends would tell me that other people are curious as well. They're like, what does he do? Even those that know I live in the car, those that don't know, people just will see me out and about, different places. One day I'm here, one day I'm there. In fact, I've been in Philly a lot. Here's an Instagram reel of me doing a little interview thing, which you can see that I'm actually kind of a big guy. But people get that a lot. And what does he do? And it made me laugh when my mom asked me that, because I told her, I was like, I hear that a lot. And truthfully, I'm just doing whatever and betting on myself. That's what I told her, because that's the truth. I am just doing whatever and betting on myself. I am exploring life and, just making it interesting, to say the least, challenging myself. YouTube right now I see that as a challenge, and challenges is how I go forward. I need challenges, or else I get bored. If I'm not challenged, I'll jump off the Empire State Building or something because I'm bored out of my mind. Trust me. I'm saying this for a reason, because there was a time I was really bored out of my mind, and I went into robot mode, and things could have ended up bad. Thankfully, it didn't. I'm still alive. But yeah, when I get super bored, I do dumb things. Don't even think about it. It's just anything to entertain myself. Boredom kills. That's a true statement. But I see YouTube as a challenge, and the challenge is starting to pay off because a friend of mine he messaged me and saw one of the videos trending and whatnot. And I was like, I never told you about it. I don't tell anybody what I do, because I want it all to grow organically. I'm challenging myself, right? And I like that aspect of life, just the ability to challenge and do things, because ultimately, you are in control of your decisions. One thing I learned from sports, something a friend that's older than me taught me, it was control what you can control, because that's what coaches would tell him. And that's kind of how I've learned to take on life. Yeah, I made the other video talking how I feel bad for Gen X, and we live in a rigged economic system and whatnot, yada yada yada. But even though the game is rigged, that doesn't mean that you can't find the rules of the game and then try to navigate your way in between it to live for yourself and for what you want to accomplish. Because let's keep it a bean. There's an asteroid coming in 2035, possibly. There's a non-zero chance that it could hit, so far as we know. A 3% chance means 3% chance it could happen. But let's hypothetically say that the asteroid, instead of being like a city destroyer, was a planet killer. And let's say that it has 100% hit chance. It's going to hit. It's going to blow this bitch up. Now what? Yeah, we have people like Putin and Elon Musk and Donald Trump and Modi and what's that place called again? India. No, I'm just naming like political figures who aren't really like good people, right? But we have all this political intrigue and conflicts and all this other stuff in the world. And, people scheming, nations scheming, elites, yada, yada, yada. But if that hits in this hypothetical scenario, poof, it's all gone. Done. Just space dust. Then at that point, what does it matter? None of it. Everything they've done, oppressing other people, so, they'll uplift themselves. They don't go out the same way as the rest of us, because there's really only one truth. And it's, I was born into this world and I will perish from this world, at least as I know it with my human brain. Because one thing I've always thought about a lot is, mortality and things and the universe. Even when we talk about things like gods or the Big Bang Theory and all that, the first question I've always had is, okay, so what came before that? So you're telling me that there's this big thermal expansion and then and the universe was created and one day there's going to be, massive heat death and whatnot, but something had to come before that. You can't just tell me it's nothing, because even the concept of nothing doesn't make sense. How can nothing exist if it's nothing? Something can't come from nothing. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And if we're talking about a God, it was like this big, if we're just use a singular God, talking about this omniscient being that can create the universe as it seems fit, or universe is, where the fuck did he come from, or she, or it? Obviously something had to come before it. Like, life is strange, incredibly strange. It makes no sense. In fact, I was driving earlier today, and I play a lot of space games. Like, I'm a gamer, not right now so much, but I'm a gamer. My favorite games are stuff like the X universe games, like literally the word X for those of you that don't play games. Homeworld 2, Nexus, the Jupiter conflict, blah, blah, blah. I like space games and sci-fi the most out of stuff. And I was just driving and I was like, how big is the universe really? It just popped in my mind. It's not the first time I've had that thought, but I just started imagining like the world on like a 2D plane and me just going down to like the edge of the universe. And I was like, is there an edge? How far, if I send a probe, how far would it go? I have thoughts like that, and they keep going until my brain hits the point where it breaks. And then it's like, all right, let's reel this back in. You're never going to figure that out. As far as you know right now with your human experience, you won't figure it out. So why worry about that shit? Just live life for yourself and do it. And that's what happens. It's going to happen tonight. I'm going to go to sleep. My mind's going to start racing again. And then eventually I'm going to just reel myself back in, smoke a little and be like, you know what? Who knows? Let the asteroid hit, baby. I'm joking. Don't let the asteroid hit. Life is fun. But because of that and things, that has like influenced a lot of my decision making and just how I do stuff. Though the same day, when my mom asked that, a little later, she was talking to my sister. My sister's stressing over stuff because she has 2 kids now with the same person, but their relationship's kind of toxic. My sister's very hard-headed and wants to do things her own way and yada, yada, yada. And it's talking about how she's like stressed and feeling somewhat depressed. Her place is a mess. And just like, if I didn't have these kids, all this stuff, and I quit. And just like, right? And she's like 25 now. And I told her, like, things are going to get harder based on how you're choosing to live. And you think you're prepared for it, and you're not. And she was doing that, and I overheard it, and I was like, let me take over real quick. And I was like, okay, so all this is happening. What are you going to do about it? She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, like it or not, your actions have led to this, whether it was just you were only involved by 0.1% or 99%, whatever way we move in life and navigate, obstacles will come, which is, not saying the obstacles are always our fault, but based on the way that we're moving, we're going to run into those obstacles, and you have to figure out what you're going to do about it if you want to overcome it. Even if you decide to lay down, die, roll over and die, that's still something. It's not really an ideal solution, but it's something. So I'm like, what are you going to do about it? And she's like, I don't know. I was like, so here's what you should do. Sit down, relax, self-reflect, give yourself some room to breathe, cry a little if you have to, and then figure out what the fuck you're going to do about it. Because that's really the only way to go. Slow motion is better than no motion. And that's pretty much, how I view all of this. What are you going to do about it? all the scheming, all the other stuff I talked about in the other video of like, this economic hellscape and everything. It's not going to stop you from living. Doesn't stop me from living. I'm in the most chill point I've been in my life because fuck it. There's only two truths. I know how I came into this world, and I know how, at least for this human aspect, how I'm going to leave as the person you see today. But what's the middle like? How big do I want this book to be? How thick, right? I want it to be as thick as possible. Pause. And have as many experiences as possible. Like, unfortunately, right now it's super windy outside, or I would like switch the scene to like this last part because right now I'm sitting over this overlook and I'm a B-roll of it. And it's a spot I love to sit in because when you think about life and like all the other stuff and all like this human things, like this money that we fight over, oil and all the other shit, if I was like to take these dollars and just throw it in front of the ants or geese, they probably try to eat it and then walk away. But they don't know that's a dollar. They don't know those are ones and fives because those are just materials that we compounded together and we assigned values to. The fish, the ants, the turtles, the frogs, everything that's over there in this ecosystem that I'm sitting over, they're not worried about the shit that we're worried about other than the same basic stuff: eat, sleep, shelter, procreation. And that's it. The rest is just made up. So the question is, what are you going to do about it? That's how I see it. That's why I don't stress much anymore. That's why I don't really worry about much anymore. And that's why I don't, feel caged much anymore. Life is a weird place. Existence doesn't really make much sense at all. But while I'm here, I'm going to try to make the best of it. Step 1 foot forward, and blaze a path for myself because I'm just that type of person, I'm gonna make it through to the other side, wherever I want to go, whether we're flying over, jumping over, and we're burning the whole fucking forest down, one way or another. But that's really it. That's all I really wanted to talk about here, But with doing all that, I'm also going to sit down and breathe and try to just take it all in. And that's like the message I want to convey here. None of this shit matters in the grand scheme of all this. The universe is vast, the universe is massive, and there's more questions than answers that we have at the moment. So as you share this rock with the rest of us, and we bicker and argue, which I'm also guilty of because I'm very aggressive, very confrontational and other stuff. But there are moments where we just sit back and, just take it all in. Unless it's an imminent threat, whatever you're going through probably isn't that bad. And the moment it sucks, and venting and stuff is good to do because it allows you to let the steam out. Like if you're a kettle, like how I was working on the engine in this video I've yet to upload yet, and how while we were working on it, we were bitching and complaining and hated it. But then after it was done, it was like, all right, that sucked, but it wasn't that bad because we got through it. That's basically just how life itself is. It's not that serious, is what I'm trying to say. Relax, breathe, and figure out what you're going to do about it. And then make it happen. That's how I operate. And with that being said, I will, of course, as always, see y'all in the next video. You already know how I'm going to end it. Deuces.